1. You're live.
Hey!
Hey, how does this look? The lighting.
I don't know. Why? Is it different?
I don't know.
I mean, we're in a different space. I
Yeah.
kind of like this space because it's got the shelves behind us and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it definitely is a little intimidating with all the squat racks and things like that.
I think we should do like a fake background where it makes us look like we're on the moon or something. You know, do something a little different.
Italy.
We can make it look like we're in Italy and we could like pretend and just try to trick everybody.
Is that going to be the only way that we make it to Italy, babe?
Well, for a podcast. Yeah, because if we go, I don't want to fly all this equipment out there.
Yeah, well, welcome to the Tessa Van Wade Show. We are back, and I'm very tired. It's the end of Thursday, and
You're
I feel like it's
always
been
tired.
What?
Are you? I'm always tired.
You're the one that took a nap right before we came here.
I did. And
I literally was sitting there watching TV while he was snoring. And then as we get on the podcast, I say I'm tired, and he looks at me and he goes, "You're always tired." Does that seem a little weird?
I mean, I
to
did
anybody
take a nap
else,
knowing that I was pretty tired, and I don't know. I listen to my body now. When my body says take a nap, I take a nap. It feels good.
I think it's funny that you stopped me mid-sentence, because what I was going to say is I'm tired from the week. It doesn't have to necessarily be physical. It is
I got you.
There's a lot of stuff that has happened.
I guess I should have listened.
Welcome to our lives, gentlemen and ladies. But this AC feels darn good. And I was thinking about it, like, we're still using and needing AC in Hawaii, and like one of our ACs went out for the gym, and so I had to pay for a new AC in one of the spaces. But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, a lot of people are heading into fall and winter.
Yeah, I think the Midwest just got a bunch of snow.
That is gnarly. Yeah, when you're sitting in 75 degree, 80 degree weather.
Next week is Thanksgiving.
That is crazy.
Yeah. The holidays are upon us. Which is very exciting.
Is it?
It's very exciting.
It is very exciting.
I love Christmas.
I happen to marry, I think, one of the only men in the world that like gets super excited over Christmas.
I turn on Christmas music in my car as I drive to work. And it's like, I don't know. I feel like.
Tell me. I want to know the exact feeling, Ben. I want you to describe it to the best of your ability. I want it to be like a super duper description.
I don't know if I can do that, but I think that Christmas time brings me the only joy throughout the year. I don't know what it is about Christmas.
That is bad news for the rest of us.
I've tried to figure out what it is about, because I love everything Christmas.
Yeah.
Like I said, I listen to Frosty the Snowman on my way to work in the morning and on the way home. It's something that, like, throughout the year, I can't stand that type of music, but something about Christmas time makes me be like, I want to listen to Christmas music. And it's like jazzy, sometimes big band style music, like Sinatra and all those. And Bing Crosby.
We all know what it is. Yeah.
So I've tried to pinpoint what it is that makes me love Christmas so much and the holidays. And I don't really know what it is, but I've always, even as a little kid, I just loved all the awe of Christmas. Like,
I think that people who have listened to the podcast, by the way, I know that we always say like nobody ever listens, but by the way, I have been getting contacted quite a bit from people who are listening. So just an FYI for those people who are listening. No, I'm not saying anything about you. But what I was going to say is, for those people who have been listening, I think they get a full understanding of you. So hopefully this will be as surprising to them as it is to me. That we, like the other day, Georgia goes, when you were there, Georgia, our youngest, who's 15, looks at me and goes, "Hey, Mom, so because she was talking about you had mentioned to them before school or something like that you wanted them to clean the house because the next day you wanted to put all the Christmas decorations up and you wanted to be as Christmassy as you can get it. And you were
Yeah.
like super excited about it.
Yeah, for sure.
But she was like, the way I can describe you though, that doesn't make sense to this. And I'll go into, because my dad also had things like this, but it doesn't really make a ton of sense. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm going to turn the AC down a little bit. It's a little loud.
What?
I'm still listening though. I'll be right back.
Oh,
Keep going. Don't let it distract you.
No, it is distracting and I feel weird. I feel like you're not, because I'm ultimately, I think, talking to you as well as everybody else. But anyway,
I'm already back.
hopefully everybody's been, caught on to the fact that you're, you don't like a lot of things.
What do you mean I don't like a lot of things?
You're just a little bit opinionated about a lot of things. And so, you can have on that side. But what's weird is you like have this kind of obsession with Christmas and I like it.
I love Christmas. I don't like, I want to fully immerse myself every moment that I can during the holidays.
I know.
Like as soon as I get home, I want Christmas movies to be playing. I want to drink a peppermint cappuccino if I make coffee.
Yeah.
Well,
Georgia goes, Mom, why is it that Dad has certain things that you wouldn't expect that he gets super excited about? And then why is it that he has so many things that you're like hoping to tell him that'll be excited about and you get like kind of like crickets?
That's because I have issues.
I was like, I don't know. I think I've said it before that I've learned in the years that we've been married to, I've learned that if I'm going to say something that I want you to be super excited about, I think I could say anything to you right now and you would not recognize what I'm saying.
I'm so frustrated with this because I can't figure this stupid.
Why?
It's blowing 100 miles an hour right now.
What are you trying to do? Take the fan down?
I'm trying to turn it down so that it's not like blowing so loudly.
Babe, could we have done this maybe before the podcast?
I didn't realize that it was doing this until just now.
Can we not do this right now?
I'm getting like noise in the background.
Okay.
I feel we can like hear it.
Okay.
And it's kind of annoying. So, but I swear I figured this out before.
Oh, this is exciting. You're going to have to cut this out of the podcast, please.
Maybe.
What do you mean, maybe?
It depends on if it's funny.
It's not funny. This is not fun. I'm sitting here talking to nobody.
You're not talking to nobody. I'm right here. Oh my gosh, this is like ridiculous. Well, why can't I see the screen? Like,
because you're old.
This is crap. No, that's not it.
Yeah, that is.
The other day we were in here and we were doing a podcast and I was able to turn that down so it's not so noisy.
So why aren't you able to turn it down now?
I was able to do it so quickly. It was insane. I just figured it out. It's because I need to be pointing it at the machine. Do you hear that? Do you hear how it's calming down now?
Mm-hmm. I do.
All right. So now we're 8 minutes in and the AC isn't blowing so hard anymore.
Great. I'm so glad we did that. I'm so glad we did that on the live podcast.
Okay,
Let's hope nobody stops watching us just because of that. Anyway, what I was saying was that Georgia has decided that you pick and choose what you're excited about. And I have learned over the years that with you, if I want you to be super excited about something, I preface our conversation and say, okay, Ben, because remember we had this whole thing where I was like, I need you to do cartwheels. Like this is how, and I don't mean literal cartwheels. I just mean like in your behavior, I need you to be super stoked about what I'm talking about.
You can tell me that, but it's going to be fake, right? Like I'm going to do my best to show you.
But that's what I'm saying. Like none of us can figure out what makes you super
I don't know.
excited and what makes you not excited. And what's funny is Christmas makes you super
It
excited.
does. It makes me so excited. I think it's because I know I'm going to get time off. No, because even as a kid, you know,
No, you like
I don't know.
all the things.
you know what? It's the most wonderful time
You
of the
like
year.
the feeling. Like you come in and you're like, it's hot in Hawaii, and you come in with your cappuccino and you're like,
Yeah, I have to
"Hmm."
pretend it's cold.
But
Yeah.
it's funny because my dad was always very, my dad was a very, I don't know, like kind of, you didn't get a lot of emotion from my dad. It was
He was a bit
very,
of a Spock
he
kinda
was
guy.
kind of,
Yeah.
like he would totally have gotten along with Spock. But I remember growing up as a kid, the dude loved Disneyland.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
we all have our
loved
things.
Disneyland. And so, I just I'm confused. It's like, would it I don't know. It's hard to
I
understand.
think for me, it just brings a little bit of that childhood fantasy back into our adult reality. And there's an innocence to it. It gives you hope. It's pretty. I don't know. I'm just bummed when people don't want to listen to Christmas music at work because I would blast it all day.
Do they not want to do Christmas music at work?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so the other day I saw this. I know I talk too much about TikToks, but the other day I
Oh
saw
my
this
gosh.
TikTok where this girl was like in her house and she goes, "You guys, I don't usually make TikToks, but I need to make this one." She goes, "There's a house right next door that's getting worked on. It's being total remodel, or it was like a total build." And she was saying how the entire crew is blasting The Little Mermaid. And so she went out to get video of it, and all the dudes are singing The Little Mermaid, and it's the actual songs. Like
Yeah,
they're
like the
listening to the soundtrack.
That's interesting.
So tomorrow,
Yeah.
turn on The Little Mermaid.
No, it's Christmas time. It's 100%
Oh.
Christmas music.
So you can't
100%
even
of the
like do a
time.
little trick to kind of see if like the guys will listen
I'll
to
do that.
The Little Mermaid?
I'll do that with Christmas music. It's the same thing.
It's
And
not
more
the
fitting.
same thing. The,
I'll
no,
play like Santa Baby, something like
it's not the same.
anyway.
It's not the same. It's Little Mermaid versus Christmas music. Very, very different.
So speaking of work,
Okay. Let's speak of it.
I was talking to this guy the other day. This is leading into what we're talking about tonight.
Okay.
So I was having a conversation we have this young guy he's 21. He's going to get married. He's going to get engaged.
Okay.
So he came up to me. He knows I got married around his age, and he was asking me about he has the
Oh, so
ring.
he was specifically asking you because he knew you got married young.
I don't know, but he knows I'm happily married. Let's
Okay.
put it that way.
Okay.
Because we have some guys that are not happily married on the crew.
Yeah.
But he asked me about the ring because he has a ring. He's going to get it set, and he's talking about the timing, and he wants to do it before Christmas so that they can make the announcement when they go back east for their family trip for Christmas. So we're just kind of talking about it.
I remember those times.
And this other guy walks up who's not married. He's young too, but he's we'll get into why. But he goes, "Don't do it, don't do it."
Just like full on like.
He's saying, "Don't do it."
Was he serious or was he kind of kidding?
I think he was serious. He was serious.
Okay.
And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't want to get married, and that's fine. But what I thought was interesting is after he left, and the guy's a really nice guy. He's just being funny.
The guy who said don't do it was
Yeah.
a really nice guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so afterwards he left, and I was like, okay, so I remember when I was your age, and I had people tell me that, like, don't do it.
Tell
don't
you
get
to
married.
not, like, don't get married.
Yeah. But I told him what was interesting is everybody who knew us really well were like, you
Yeah.
guys should get married.
Yeah. I always tell the story that your mom, when I was like 19, we were visiting her house and she looked at me and I didn't think twice about it then, but she looks at me and she's like, she's like, okay, so when are you guys getting married?
we
And
we were like 18, 19 at the time.
we were 19.
Yeah, that's really
I
young.
think we were 19, maybe 18, because it was possibly the first summer that we went and visited. So we could have been 18. But I could not believe that yeah, at like 18, 19, that's what I'm being told.
Yeah.
I didn't care then, but I look back on it now, especially having a 17-year-old, and I think about telling her in 2 years, like, hey, when are you guys, or asking her, when are you guys getting married?
Yeah, but I think for us it was kind of and that kind of proves my point in that like the people that knew us knew that we were ready for it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I think we've proven that we were. I would definitely not. I'm having
Yes,
technical issues
you
here.
are.
I would definitely not recommend it for everybody at that age.
Really?
Yeah, I
Okay.
definitely wouldn't, because it
Okay.
depends on the people. Anyway, so we got talking about it, and he's like, of course, he brushed the guy off, but I was like, look, I was told that also.
Yeah.
I went through with it, and it's been 22 years,
Mhm.
and I'm happily married.
Mhm.
I'm very happy with my wife. I have a great life. And I was like, isn't it interesting that the people who seem to be the most miserable and make all the wrong choices want to give you advice?
They want to
You
give
know,
you advice,
as
but they
if,
also like this guy is probably coming from a perspective of like it did not work out for him.
well,
He
this is
is
a
not
guy who
super
got
stoked.
he got his girlfriend pregnant,
Yeah.
and like they didn't get married, but now he's like, he's kind of stuck with her, even though they barely knew each other
Yeah.
when they had a kid together.
Ooh, that's really hard.
So I'm like, do you want to hear advice from a guy who is in a loveless relationship because
Oh, so you're kind of getting more into like the kind of topic of today is a little bit more about um like it's not just about the marriage thing, it's about who are you getting your advice from?
yes,
Okay.
exactly. So it's just funny because here I am saying, okay, like you're in the middle of making a life decision right now. And I'm like, you have a 42-year-old man who's been married for 22 years, and you have a 25-year-old guy who is miserable.
Yeah.
I'm like, who are you going to listen to? The guy who, and there's other things about this guy that like,
Yeah.
he can't legally drive because he got like 3 DUIs.
Yeah.
He's just a mess,
Yeah.
and it's like, I just find it interesting that somebody whose life is in total chaos is like giving advice as if everyone's life is in
Well,
total chaos.
I know I've told you this story, or I mean, I know I've said this story in the podcast before, but about my dad who didn't normally give advice. And like it was a very unusual thing for him to give advice. But when you and I started dating, he took me out, and my parents were going through an awful divorce at the time. Like they
Yeah.
wouldn't even talk to each other. There was other things going on that was horrible. And we're sitting in his truck in his garage, and he looks at me and he's like, I just want to say, just want to give you a little bit of advice that, don't let the first guy that you start dating be the one that you stick around with.
That's exactly what you did.
It is exactly what I did. But what I said to him was, I said, Dad, no offense, but I don't know if I can take advice right now from somebody who's going through such a nasty divorce.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's a tough one because your parents,
they were married for 25 years too.
Your parents are obviously the ones that give you the most advice throughout your life. But as you grow up, you come to realize that your parents are not.
They're fallible.
Yeah, they're totally fallible, right? They're human. They make bad choices.
Yeah.
They make bad decisions, and not everybody's life is the same.
I would say that
right?
I would say that I don't ever look back on getting married young.
I don't either. But I don't think it's for everybody.
Of course, but nothing is for everybody. I think that's what we make clear in this podcast. Like nothing is for everybody. So it really is about intuitive living. They always talk about intuitive eating. That's
I've
it's kind
never
of a
heard
thing.
that.
Really?
No, never heard that.
Yeah, well, it's kind of a thing. But anyway, it's the
Like when I
same
got home, I was like, I feel like eating a block of smoked Gouda. And that seemed intuitive to me. And I did it because I was starving. And it was so good.
You are
I couldn't
so
stop.
into that smoked Gouda
Oh
right
my
now.
gosh. If you guys have a chance to go to Costco and get the wedge of smoked Gouda, it is amazing. Just do it and eat it. It doesn't matter
Don't
how
do
bad
it.
it is for you.
Don't
Just
do
eat
it. Don't do it, because then you come home and all you want is a block of smoked Gouda.
If you can't live your life and enjoy cheese,
To me, it kind of tastes. It
What's
kind of
the
has the
point?
same feeling as like Cheese Whiz.
no, that's the Gouda. It's just really smooth. It's high quality cheese
Totally.
and it's delicious. Anyway, so what I told this guy, because one thing that I've been working on recently is not giving unwanted advice from people.
Okay.
You know, people always.
Do you tend to give advice a lot?
I tend to share my opinion a lot.
Yes. Yes, you do.
So I'll just
Yes, you
throw
do.
my opinion out there, and I realize that maybe these people don't want my opinion.
Yeah. I sometimes don't.
So usually I preface things, if I'm ever going to give my opinion or advice, I would say, for me, or you don't have to take this advice if you don't want it, and you can stop me whenever you want. But, and I told him all the stuff. Like
what stuff?
Like we got married, and it's not like it's a daily choice to love and care for the person you're with. So it's not like, I don't know. I just told him that you have to work on it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to think that it's just easy.
Yeah. But I feel like it's been easy. Is that wrong of me? Like, I know that we have arguments, but what relationship doesn't have arguments?
I think any relationship
I don't know.
can be difficult because there's so many dynamics in it.
Yeah.
So anyway, my point is that I always try to only give advice like if people want it.
Yeah.
You know, because
totally.
I don't claim to know everything, and I also don't want to be blamed if his marriage fails.
Yeah, 100%. You can start giving
You
advice.
said it was gonna work.
No, it is up to people when they make that decision. It is all up to you to make it work. And I get what you're saying. It's not. What I mean by easy is that I've always loved you, and I feel like I love you. Like, I get excited when I see you still to this day. Come home, I hear your truck pull in, and I'm like, oh, he's here. And
oh my gosh.
what?
I just think that's funny.
So in other words, he does not do that for me.
No, I mean, I think our threshold is different. Like,
threshold, what does that mean?
You'll text me. I leave at 6:15 in the morning to go to work. You'll text me at 7:15. I miss you.
No, I have done that once when I was having a bad day. Do not throw that
No.
out like I do that all the time.
Okay,
it is not some
maybe not
weird,
an hour,
like,
but you do text me and be like, I miss you and stuff like that. And I just, like, we just saw each other. I don't miss you yet. It takes me a couple days to miss somebody.
we can make that happen really quick. We can absolutely make that happen really quick.
I call your bluff on that because you miss me after an hour.
Oh, you call my bluff on it. That's totally fine. I will show you. I'm going to California next week.
Okay. We'll see about that.
See, I don't like this smug thing you
No,
do.
I'm not
Like,
being-
you are like totally like cool without your woman, and
That's
you're like
not
super
your-
set
nope,
without
nope,
like, yeah,
nope,
I'm
not what
good.
I
I'm
said.
good. Yeah,
Not what I said.
No, but your attitude is kind of like
What
that.
I said was our threshold is different. Like, I need
doesn't make any
need
sense to
you
me.
just as much as you need me. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, I don't miss anything after a couple hours. You know? You don't.
No, I totally, yeah, I guess I'm a totally different person, but I also like text people constantly. Like, I'm constantly texting people to keep up to date with them.
Yeah. I
People
don't.
who we don't even live by. Like, I am constantly like, if any, I know I've said it before. Like, if there's somebody that comes up in my mind that I haven't seen for years, I will take that as a hint that I'm supposed to reconnect with them. And so I oftentimes text them and say, "Hey, I'm just thinking about you. I hope you're doing well, and whatever." I am there's no doubt about it. I am 100% relational, like, or maybe 90% relational. And so, yeah, I also just have a lot of feelings towards people. Like,
Yeah.
I get excited when I see certain clients. I get excited when I see the other trainers. I was training somebody the other day, and I totally forgot tea, and I was my mom walked in to bring me some tea from Starbucks, and I was like, "Mom!" And when she left, my client goes, "I you see your mom like every
Don't
day,
you
right?"
live? Doesn't she live downstairs?
By the way, I don't see my mom every day, but she does live downstairs. And it wasn't necessarily that I was super stoked to see my mom.
You
It
just
was
wanted the
I just wanted
tea.
the
Come
tea.
on.
But no, but when I see somebody in a place that is unexpected, I have a big reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not like that.
No,
Like, for
you're not
instance,
like that. But that's what Georgia was saying. That's what we're getting back to with the Christmas. Georgia was saying, I don't know what's going to make dad react big, because nothing makes it. But you know what? Your mom's kind of like that. Your
Yeah.
mom has a very like,
I'm a little bit.
I'm not going to go to you guys if I want to like get you to like say, "Oh my god, amazing." Like, I'm not going
Yeah.
to go to you to do
You're
that.
not going to get that kind of reaction. Now, if you want some advice, we'll give it to you, even
Totally.
if you don't want it.
Yeah, well, nope, I get that already. I don't need to come to you to ask for advice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's interesting, because I think what you're talking about with the story that you're telling is, I do remember a lot of people telling me at that age, like, don't get married. I remember a lot of
And
people
don't
telling
you
me that.
feel like it was the people that typically
We're struggling.
don't make the right choices in life?
Totally.
I mean, not to say that I'm not saying not getting married is not the right choice. I hope that comes across.
Yeah.
Does that make
Oh,
sense?
totally.
What I'm saying is,
Absolutely.
like, and it doesn't just go with marriage. It's like, I find it
You're more
interesting that
talking about the person.
I find it interesting that people whose lives are in shambles would even attempt to give you any advice on life and relationship.
I think the same thing holds true for the fact that even people who their lives are not in shambles, not everybody is qualified to give opinions about everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
for example, I'm not qualified to give my opinion about anything boy related.
boy related.
I guess.
Okay.
I'm not qualified to give I'm not qualified to give an opinion about, I don't know, teaching a classroom.
Okay.
Why? Okay,
So
wait, hold on,
here's
babe. You give those responses like what I'm saying is absolutely like, okay,
no,
yeah,
I'm not.
whatever.
I was listening and you gave an example. I'm like, yeah, that sounds about
Oh,
right.
oh, okay.
So what I was going to ask you is so like, who do you take advice from?
You.
That's not good.
I take advice from everybody. I'm very not judgmental about who's giving me advice. I listen to almost everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I'll listen to people's stories
Yeah.
and their thoughts and feelings, and I'll decide whether it's worthy or not of my effort.
But we're in a society where people are giving advice or giving opinions all the time. We are way too opinionated of a culture. We are also very sensitive as a culture. Yeah. So, I mean, people are constantly trying to give opinions right now. It's social media is opinionation world. I mean, it has opened the doors for everybody to give their opinion about everything.
Yeah, that's why I stay off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the type of people I take advice from, you know, and clearly it's people. For me, I think it's people that obviously that I look up to and respect,
Yeah.
and I think that's why it's hard when somebody who you look up to and respect, you find out has like a secret life or something that they were hiding,
Yeah.
or some kind of major failure, and it causes you to be like, kind of causes you to question reality,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, you didn't have enough time with your parents together to have that experience, I think, so much with your parents. By the time you
yeah,
reached teenagehood, you were already used to knowing that your parents were, they separated when you were 6. You went through that whole different, whatever. It's kind of that feeling as like I'm a teenager. I'm 17 when my parents separate. And so I think I had to deal with that. I think you had to deal with it as a 6-year-old. I had to deal with it as a 17-year-old, and I think we're going to deal with it differently. That we're watching people who kind of gave us our position in life, and now we're having to look at it and go, "Okay, crap, you guys like." Kind of what I said to my dad, like, I don't know that I can take advice from you about marriage at this moment.
yeah, I think, and that's the tough thing. It's not that just because somebody makes a mistake in their life doesn't take away from their ability to give you rational advice,
Yeah.
right?
In
So
fact,
I
I sometimes they make it more.
yeah, so
Yeah.
I think that in that case, your dad probably had good advice there, generally speaking,
Uh,
but it was coming
if I took
from
his advice, I wouldn't be with you right
no,
now.
because I feel that way. I feel like if we have a daughter who's 17, and if she found some guy, and he didn't really know me yet, right? I don't think I knew him very well yet. Um, I think I would tell my daughter the same thing, like, hey, not necessarily go play the field, but you know,
That's
get
basically what my dad was telling me. Like date multiple people before you settle
well,
down.
have like, yeah, date a little bit and figure out what it is that you want. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's sound advice. But my point is it's coming from somebody who at the time, at the moment, was going through a nasty relationship
Right.
situation.
Right.
So it kind of devalues the advice a little bit.
It's interesting though because you and I talked about we listened to the Shia LaBeouf with
Podcast.
podcast with John Bernthal.
Sure. I don't know his name.
And well, I said his name. That's his name.
Oh.
John Bernthal.
It's
And
the guy from The Walking Dead.
the guy from The Walking Dead, the guy from a lot of different things. He's an American Gigolo right now. And it was interesting because we were listening to that. And one of the things that kind of drove you crazy, besides the fact of other things in that podcast, but you did say it was a good podcast, and I did listen to it as well. One thing that I thought was interesting was at one point, the only thing that really kind of bothered you was that Shia was saying, these guys who haven't gone through a lot in life and everything, they can't give you advice. You need to find somebody who's gone through the fire and gone through rather than, and you and I had this conversation about, well, wait a minute. Sometimes there are just good people, or sometimes there are just people that are really like, you look at their life and they've made really good choices. It doesn't mean that
maybe
they've
they just
made
made all
bad
the right choices.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they haven't made bad choices. It just means that they've stayed true to their integrity. They've stayed true with, all of the things, and they've made a lot of good choices to kind of lead them in life. And I have, I can think of a lot of different people right now that I would go to for sound advice. I have a client that I would definitely go to for business advice. I have a lot of women in my life that I would go to for personal advice. And it's because, sure, they've gone through fires, but man, they've really lived a really solid life. So that's where you and I that's where you were kind of struggling with that kind of concept with that
Yeah, and
specific podcast.
that's kind of the opposite of what I'm saying, right? Like he's saying that the
He's saying that the
people
guy that was
people who
telling
have
him,
screwed up
yes,
have a more valuable opinion and
right.
advice because they've been through it. And there's probably some truth to that.
I think there's truth to it once they've gotten out of it, but then there's also that thing where a lot of times they, not to be there are definitely people who come out of whatever it is that they're going through. They go through the fire, they come out the other side, and they never go back, and they become these amazing people. But then there's also the true tale of the people who come out of it for a few years, and then all of a sudden it's like they're back into it. And then they come out of it for a few years, and then all of a sudden they're back into it. And I don't know, like it just feels you got to be, I think that you got to be conscious of how quickly you start talking to people when they're coming out of it. Like there's a big moment right after you get out of something really heavy where you're like, I know it and I'm great. And let me tell the world,
Yeah.
But like, sure, as soon as that starts waning,
yeah, give it 10 years.
Give it 10 years. And where are you? Like, hopefully you can still continue to make those, help people with those big opinions. But yeah.
Yeah, so I think that there's obviously some universal truth just to life that's obviously infallible as far as like what you should and shouldn't do. But I don't know, for me, I think that because I didn't have I don't know. I don't know how to explain this that well, but I hardly ever ask for advice. Like
I know.
I never call my parents for life advice.
I don't think you ever did.
Like I talk to my parents and we just catch up.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't call either one of my parents and be like, I just really need your help, like deciding something for my life. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, that's probably because I learned at a young age that I need to take care of myself.
So is there anybody that you go to?
I have like control issues.
Yeah,
myself.
Because I would say that I ask people for advice all the time.
It's not that I don't trust my parents' advice. I just don't even think to ask.
You do have a thing about that.
Yeah.
You do have a thing about that. You have a thing about not asking for help and not asking for advice.
But man, I love to give it.
I know. That's the confusing part. That's the hypocrisy a little bit.
Well, because if I ask for help, I'm broadcasting to the world that I'm not okay.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we're really being honest.
Well, on a kind of funnier note of kind of this whole concept.
Did that just get too serious and dark for you? Did I take it there? Me? You're like, whoa.
No.
On a lighter note.
No. Well, I did. I thought you were done. You kind of halted, and then it was like
I was waiting for you to respond. Like, see what she does.
I'm not sure how to respond to that because I don't know. I know you. Like it's not like you're gonna work on it.
No.
But you're gonna continue to do the non-committal of like, I mean, you're gonna give opinions and you're not gonna want opinions back.
I don't know. I have been actively working this year on like saying like, I don't know how to do this. Can you please show me how?
See, that thing I feel like I live on the I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, because you don't believe you know how to do everything. When you believe in your soul that you know how to do everything, then it's really hard to ask for advice.
Oh, see.
No. Let me change that.
Because I'm confused.
It's not that I know how to do everything. I want the perception that I know how to do everything.
Yeah, because, okay, wait. So let's go into that a little bit because I'm actually the person that you and I have talked about this. I have an easier time leaping into new ideas and new dreams and actually going after them because I do believe that I could do anything. I 100% believe that, Oprah talked about it one time about being if she was meant to be a shoe salesman, she knew that she would be the best shoe salesman there is because she would simply create conversation with people and be able to sell those shoes. when she was saying this, I was like, yes, I 100% get that. I believe that anything I put my mind to, I to the core feel as though I could do it. On the day-to-day basis and on the daily things, I have a bunch of trainers that work here. And yeah, okay, so I created it, but no, my favorite thing about this place is that I can go to them and be like, "Hey, what do you guys think about this?" Like what, like I'm actively looking for opinions and I'm actively looking for input on what they feel and what they think. Yours is literally the opposite. You feel as though you like I say you should go do this and you're like, "I could never do that."
Yeah.
On almost everything. And
Yeah.
yet I believe you are Superman.
No, and I don't know. I think I can do everything, but I don't want to.
Well, that's a whole different subject.
Yeah, I can do anything that's not scary.
But everything is scary to you, babe.
Exactly. I weigh my risks and I weigh them strongly in my favor. So if I know if we're going to like go into a new venture, instead of thinking of the possibilities and the successes, I immediately decide this is going to fail and it's just a matter of when.
You're the risk management guy for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I definitely manage risk and I manage it to an extreme so that I always win. And we've talked about this. And the irony is I never win.
Right.
Because I never take a risk.
I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to Dax Shepard's podcast, Armchair Expert with and he had Matt Damon on there.
Matt Damon.
And it's so funny. Okay. What's funny is I love Matt Damon. So don't get me wrong. I mean, Good Will Hunting, and they talked about it plenty on there. Good Will Hunting.
You love him. You love his acting.
I was pretty fond of the way he looked as well.
Okay.
Not
like
so much as he's gotten older, but like
you like the way he looked and you like his acting. Do you like his celebrity? Like him
as a guy?
Because you don't really know him. You've
never
met him, right?
I don't know him.
Okay.
I've never met him.
I just want to clarify.
I don't think you have to clarify that.
Oh, okay.
That's a pretty clear, I think. Isn't that pretty clear? That I've never met Matt Damon?
You could be his best friend. People don't know.
I would be a good best friend to Matt Damon.
That might get weird.
Anyway, okay. The reason I even bring it up is because it kind of just to kind of like tiny bit kind of give it a little bit of like connection to what we're saying is one thing I find really interesting about when actors talk to actors is that, man, they love to praise each other. Man, they really love to talk about they really love to build each other up, which don't get me wrong. I'm all about building each other up.
Nice.
Totally. Just trying to be nice. I totally get it. But it is kind of a funny situation when you get, I don't know, like they talked about the weird thing of being a celebrity. And I can't even fathom what that's like, just having everybody kind of treat you like you're a celebrity and, oh God, that would be so annoying. And like, you just become a different person to people. You no longer are treated like, everybody's coming to you going, oh my God, that's Matt Damon. Like, how do I,
You'll never have an authentic relationship again.
That's kind of how it feels, right?
I mean, that's the truth. You'll never know if the person that you're in a relationship with is there for you or your celebrity.
Yeah. Yeah. But the reason I even bring it up on what you were talking about is I kind of had a moment where going into the whole story about Good Will Hunting. Okay. The whole story, the whole background story. Have I mentioned this before?
I've seen the movie.
No, but I haven't mentioned on the podcast before. I don't think so.
I don't remember.
Because it was an article I read actually a while back. And I mean, they have everybody like their whole story is this rags to riches kind of story. This like amazing, like, look at what these two friends did.
These two nobodies.
Right? And they created Good Will Hunting. And it was really interesting to me because we often, especially all artists, and especially I'm sure movie makers, are always trying to look for kind of like advice from people who have made it already, and they're trying to kind of get like, what is that? What's that special thing that's going to make us be able to make it? Like Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, what did you guys do to make it? And so I have spent a lot of years, because I've always been interested in movie making. I mean, I write books so that they will come and become movies. And it's funny because the whole story behind them is this rags to riches kind of nobody's to somebody's story. And a while ago, I was reading about it and I was like, I was trying to dig in, because I do this. I was trying to dig in and find like who ended up picking up their script, like who ended up being like, what was the process from writing this script, because they always say that they were nobodies that created this script, and then but then they skip a step in telling people what the process was. Nobody knows how they got it from being a nothing script to then all of a sudden being in the hands of like you know all these major name directors.
Okay.
Saying like, okay, the studio has allowed you to kind of do this, and it was, at first it was supposed to be this like almost like this Born Identity kind of thing. Like he was supposed to be running away from the FBI or the CIA or something like that, and everything. And then a major director came in and said like, no, that's not going to work. Like, I don't know why you're doing that. Like, it needs to be more like this. And then they created the Robin Williams character and all of that kind of stuff. So it was interesting, because the reason I tell this story is because I'm reading this article, and at one point I read an article that says that Ben, and I will have to fact check this, but Ben Affleck's godfather is Terrence Malick, Terrence Malick is a huge director. He is a beautiful director. He did The Tree of Life. He did a New World with Colin Farrell, and
Okay.
And it was so he's done a lot of really amazing things, and Ben Affleck's godfather is him.
Yeah, so that's the connection.
Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying? You're
Well, I mean,
acting like you don't get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. So if I write a script and my godfather is a very famous director, it's probably going to get made.
Or at least you have something to like. This article specifically talked about it went from this person to this director to this director to this director. Okay. Somewhere down the line, I saw that Terrence Malick's name was on there of who had kind of adjusted the script and who had taken the script. And so I don't know, one day I would love to sit down with Matt Damon or Ben Affleck and be like, what's the deal with this story? Because like, it's a nobody to somebody kind of story. But like, when I think about it, and I've written scripts before. I remember one time I got like super ambitious and I sent a script in to Brad Pitt's production company.
And they threw it in the trash.
And they sent it back to me and they were like, we do not take unsolicited scripts.
Unless it's from Brad Pitt's godson.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm a little bit like, I mean, I know that there's always some there's luck to everything, and there's like, and all that, but I don't know. I just think sometimes these stories, everybody's trying to look for advice from these people that have this, but then I find something like that and I'm like, was it truly a rags to riches kind of story? Like, no, your godfather
it's just another story of nepotism in Hollywood.
Yeah, I don't know. I could be very wrong. Like someday maybe we'll have Matt Damon on this and like he can totally tell us.
He's actually scheduled in a couple months.
Then I know it's not happening yet, but maybe the dreamer inside believes it. But I'm just saying, like, it is interesting because you want to take advice from people who have been there, done that, who understand what it's like to, I'm obviously, if I'm going to get married next week and I am nervous about it, I'm going to talk to the person who has a very solid relationship for 25 years,
Well, I think,
as opposed to the person who's going through a divorce at that very moment.
and I think that's where like the whole.
And by the way, that's not to say that people are going through divorce.
you
or
don't have
people-
to.
They're not
You
going
don't
to help.
have to.
Yes, I do. I
Okay.
want to.
What I was going to say is I think that's where Shia LaBeouf was coming from when he was talking about like he wants to get advice from people, because he's specifically talking about addiction.
Right.
I can't
No.
give advice about addiction because I've never been down
Correct.
that road.
Yeah.
What I can do is give advice on how not to get into drugs in the first place,
Right.
because I've done that. I've managed to go my whole life without using drugs,
Right.
and my life is great because I'm not using drugs.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I get it.
I don't have to have all of these stories about abuse and
Mhm.
going crazy and crashing my car and going to jail, because I never tried drugs.
Mhm.
But if you did that and you went down that path, you might want to talk to somebody who's done it and gotten
And come out of it.
So I think that's what he was
I
what he was
agree.
meaning.
I
So
agree.
back to my experience with this young man, I asked him, do you want to take advice from somebody who's happily married, or do you want to take advice from somebody who's unhappily married? Not that their opinion doesn't matter, because I think it is important to hear the other side and be like, who knows, maybe his relationship is like the other guys and he's
Yeah.
just kind of blindly in love,
Mhm.
or he's being pressured into getting married. I don't know. But
And there are marriages that don't work
Sure.
when they get married at 19
yeah,
or 18.
50% of marriages don't work,
Well, is it still that?
I'm sure.
I feel like so many people are staying married now. I don't feel like
No.
divorce is as rampant as it used to be.
Because not everybody's getting married.
Oh, that's true.
In our day, it was like, you need to get married and have a family. Now it's just like, you can just have a family
Yeah.
with your person.
Yeah. That's
You don't
true.
have to get married. So I think that there's less pressure to actually go to that step.
Yeah.
And maybe that has something to do with it. But that's just
Maybe.
us talking. We haven't looked up any information on that whatsoever.
That's okay.
But that's my opinion about it.
Well, that is what this is, right? We're just sharing opinions. Like, I don't know. If I was going to talk about something like medically, I would probably go into a little bit more like research on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I did somewhat fair share of research on the whole Matt Damon story. I read an article. That's what I read. And then I saw the combination of Terrence Malick, and then
at least you read the article, because I only read the headline.
That'd be funny if I like said Terrence Malick 1,400 times and then all of a sudden I was like, oh no, I totally said the name wrong. But yeah, I don't know.
I
It's
don't think anybody's
interesting.
going to fact check that.
Okay, well, we'll just not worry about it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not even really like a big part of this.
Yeah.
His name.
But I care. I care because I actually really love Terrence Malick's work. So yeah. But it is interesting because I do think you're right. I think the biggest question is, I think that like if the guy that's giving advice on not getting married, if he was really good at cars and you were like, yeah, give me advice on my car,
Maybe
that's
stick to
definitely
cars.
doable.
Or he's a painter, so maybe just stick to giving me advice on how to paint.
So in other words, we're saying, I know how to say it. We're saying that it's probably easier in life to stick with your lane.
Yeah, stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
You're going to make fun of me because I said stick with your lane.
No, I just
okay.
said what it is. What? I didn't do anything.
Yeah. Stay in your lane. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good advice for now, because I think that too many people give opinions right now. I think opinions are just running too rampant.
I think everybody's always giving opinions. It's just easier to broadcast them.
So we're just giving advice on who to take your opinion.
I mean, look at us. We're doing a 1-hour show on giving advice.
We're doing a 1-hour show on whatever we darn well please. That's what we're doing. So it's fun.
Yeah.
We're connecting as a husband and wife, babe.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel it.
You feel what?
I feel the connection.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. All right, everybody. I think we've made our stance today.
I think we've hit the end of the road today.
Yeah, so if you guys want to check back, we will be here next week, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I hope our week gets even better.
It will, because it's Friday tomorrow.
Yes,
It's
Friday.
It's about to get real good.
Aloha Friday is tomorrow, everybody.
Yep. It's going to be great.
Oh my gosh. The best thing about Friday is like I get done with work and I just go, and then you come home and you're like, it's just the countdown till Monday. The advice that keeps on giving, let me tell you, folks.
No, I try to get every moment out of the weekend, and especially during Christmas time.
His big thing is he says, this is the longest time that we have before Monday hits.
Yeah, Friday at
I keep getting
4 o'clock
reminded.
is the best time of the week. Like, you have to just absorb every moment of Friday night.
I totally get it.
And especially during Christmas time, because there's only so many weekends before Christmas is over.
I'm telling you, he's obsessed with Christmas.
You got to
insane.
watch all the Christmas movies you can. You got to decorate. You got to make cookies. You
and
gotta do all the stuff.
The very first Christmas show or Christmas movie that we watched is what, Ben?
Every year, it's Christmas Vacation. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
National Lampoon's Christmas
And the
Vacation.
second one is always Home Alone.
What's our third?
That varies, I think.
I think that we often do Scrooge.
It varies.
It does vary.
Yeah, but always first Christmas Vacation, second Home Alone. Never fails. And it's great. I can't wait.
Great.
I can't wait to put them on Saturday morning. We will watch those movies probably 10 times.
Yeah, we did a list last time, and we just kept marking the movies off of the list. I think Die Hard got the most.
Yeah, well, and it's not like we're sitting there watching them the whole time.
No,
right? We just kind of have them on.
Yeah,
we do other stuff besides watch Christmas movies all Christmas time.
Yeah.
Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody.
No, it's not Merry Christmas. It's Thanksgiving next week.
I know, but it is. Christmas is upon
people
us.
are going to be so pissed. Those people that walk into Costco and walk into like Lowe's and they're like, what's the Christmas stuff doing out?
People who want to celebrate Christmas early aren't hurting anybody.
But that's what I'm saying
They're just
about
trying
opinions.
to bring holiday cheer and joy to your miserable, pathetic lives. So just listen.
That's what I'm saying about opinions. It's like, why does everybody have to have an opinion about everything?
Oh, this guy's happy and wants to like enjoy his music and say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to people. Yeah. What a jerk.
Is that your impression of the opinionated people?
That's my impression of all the Scrooges out there. I mean, I have my rules.
Yeah. Well,
no Christmas before Halloween.
You're also very opinionated. So you just did an impression of yourself half the time. All right. And with that, we will leave you. We will see you guys again next week. Thank you guys so much for listening.
See ya.